right, welcome back to another episode of Bet GPT. This is episode 49, and this is a pretty special one. I feel like I open most episodes by saying it's special, but this time I'm actually serious. This is our Leap Day episode. Today is February 29th, and Slade, when do you think Bet GPT will have another February 29th episode published?
Like
It could be
5 years.
Well, it's every 4 years, so that's not
Okay,
possible.
well, 24. Okay, 4
It's
years.
4, 8, 12. Yeah, it could be a while.
I always think it's funny when you have like these people that they have leap year birthdays. So they're like, instead of being 20, they're like 5,
Yeah,
technically.
yeah. It's weird because it's like, do you celebrate your birthday the day before or the day after? I'd probably say the day before because you want to keep your February birthday, but I guess that's up for interpretation.
What's the reward of a February birthday?
You're just a fraud if you're not born in March. If you're born in February,
That's true, I guess.
there's no reward for anything, man. The reward is life. Write that down. Okay. Speaking
Let's
of
not
life,
get political on here, okay?
yeah, exactly. All right, so we have some breaking news in the lives of Iowa Hawkeye fans. Caitlin Clark this afternoon, she just announced she will be foregoing for her fifth COVID year at Iowa, and she'll be entering the WNBA draft. I know that this has kind of been up in the air for a few months now, but most people probably thought this was the decision she was going to make. And Slade, I know you felt that same way.
It's been on the insider message boards. They've basically hinted at it for about a month or two. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Her boyfriend lives in Indiana. She's done her 4 full years. All her friends on the team are graduating. So like it would be a totally different team if she came back next year. I don't think she would find the same enjoyment being with like a bunch of young kids. So I think it's just the right time for her. And obviously all her records and things, she's breaking them anyways. Even 20 years from now, people will be like, well, this is what Caitlin Clark's stats were through 4 years. So like the 5th year stats don't really matter.
I get that. I just think it would have been awesome to look at her career stats, and they're just like, she has like 1,000 more points than any record. Like it would never been broken with the 5th year. But you're right, it does make it seem like it's not as big of a deal. And if she had a 5-year career, everyone would be like just taking the first 4 years. That would be really annoying, and
it would just turn into this like talking point and comparison thing for the next few decades at least. And we don't need to deal with that. My only advice on this is just to ignore anything Darren Rovell tweets about it. He's on a roll tonight. He's getting roasted on Twitter, which he's known to do from time to time. But he was saying like, Caitlin Clark's taking a pay cut. I just want to make it clear, she is not taking a pay cut. She does not take any money from the University of Iowa Swarm Collective because she thinks it can be better used elsewhere like her teammates. So all her NIL, Nike, Hy-Vee, they're not going to bail on her because she's playing for the Indiana Fever. She's going to be just as popular. So it doesn't make any sense. That whole thing is silly. She's going to make $80,000 as the number 1 overall pick. So if anything, she's getting like an $80,000 pay raise.
Hey, I remember when I had a job a few years ago that paid the same, and I was very happy. So shout out to Caitlin Clark in the WNBA.
Hey, that's good money right out of school.
It is,
man.
yeah.
In Indiana, come on.
Yeah, you could move to Pawnee, Indiana. Is that even a real place, or is that just in Parks and Rec?
No. Okay. I wish.
Anyway, it would be. One thing that I was looking into today, this is my last WNBA point, and I guess question I want to ask you. So the draft is in April and the season starts in May. Can she play right away?
Yeah. Wow. Aaliyah Boston, remember from those South Carolina teams last year? She plays for the Indiana Fever. So she actually was the WNBA Rookie of the Year. So that I think that's going to make them one of the more popular teams, having like the best player from like the last couple years, and then obviously you add Caitlin Clark to that. You're going to have basically the two.
Is Aaliyah Boston that good? They have the first pick again.
Yeah, but they aren't the last place team. I think it's kind of like a Bears situation. They got the number 1 pick, but they weren't the worst team.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, we have the women's tournament coming up. We can talk a little bit about that and like Iowa's chances on our NCAA preview pod on that Sunday when the brackets get released for the men's and the girls. We can kind of just project and talk about that. But I do want to talk about NCAA basketball. We have March Madness coming up. We got the conference tournaments coming up in a week and a half, 2 weeks. So last episode we mentioned, and I tweeted out last night the link to Gil Alexander from VSiN. He has a March Madness formula. He did all the math for us again. So I just want to quickly, spend 2 minutes here reading this off, just so we can kind of see if we can identify any bets that we want to make here. So to start it off, the last 33 champs have had more assists than turnovers. 32 of the last 33 champs have had a head coach with Sweet 16 experience prior to the title run. The one exception was Kevin Ollie on the UConn Huskies in 2014.
Kemba.
That was actually the
No,
Shabazz Napier year.
That was Jeremy. Was Jeremy Lamb on that team? J-Dog?
I think so. It was him and Shabazz Napier, I think.
My former neighbor.
Your former neighbor, yeah. Super nice car.
Yeah, purple Lambo.
So then the next thing here is 27 of the last 28 champs went to the tournament with at least 3 wins versus teams in the top 10% of RPI. Do you know what is all involved in RPI by chance?
Is it like a strength of schedule, luck factor removed, home and a road splits? I don't know.
It's kind of like that, and that's why I looked it up. So it's a team's winning percentage, opponent's winning percentage, opponent's average winning percentage. So this is basically widely used through 2018, but now they've switched it to the net rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And those net rankings, like when you see, oh, that's a quad 1 win or quad 2, quad 3, quad 4, like that's what net primarily takes into account for. So that's like basically rewarding teams who beat quality opponents, and then having like a net efficiency associated with it. So, but still, like I said on this last point, 27 last 28 champs went to the tournament with at least 3 teams in the top 10% in RPI. And then the last 2 categories here revolve around the KenPom website. So 20 of the last 21 champs have been in top 20 adjusted offense. The only exception was UConn, number 39 in 2014. And then 20 of the 21 were top 20 in defense on KenPom. The only exception was 2021 Baylor, who came in at 22. So I do want to point out, though, these KenPom rankings, as you play your way through the tournament, if you're making like a Sweet 16, Elite 8 run, like your numbers are obviously going to look better, assuming you performed well in those games. So someone who's right on the cusp, like 2023, if they have a couple good defensive games, they could easily be in the top 20, thus making them eligible. So those are dynamic. However, like the teams like 3 wins against the RPI top 10, like you're not going to do that once the tournament starts. So who qualifies, who fits all the parameters here? We have Houston, and they're 18th in offense, first in defense. UConn, 4th in offense, and 18th in defense. Arizona, 6th in offense, 11th in defense, and Auburn, 13th offense and 6th in defense. Do you think that these 4, would you have guessed these 4? Is there anything that kind of sticks out to you here? Is this pretty chalky?
Houston, I think last week I said Houston and Auburn are the 2 teams I'm keeping an eye on in terms of, I still got to wait to see what the bracket comes out as, obviously, but those were my 2 teams that I was keeping an eye on. Arizona a little bit, just because I don't know how much credit the Pac-12 gets. I haven't been following the draft. Do they have like some superstar player? I don't even know that much about them anymore. I used to think they were really cool back in the day, like even like the Lauri Markkanen days, but I just don't watch much West Coast hoops, maybe as much as you do being out there. But I mean, when it comes to Auburn, I'm personally hoping that they lose like somewhat early in the SEC tournament because I want to be able to buy low on them a little bit. I mean, I don't want them to fall to like a seeding that hurts them. But I think Auburn might be like my down the board pick a little bit, assuming they're not like top 5, 6, 7 odds. I'm still gonna ride with one of UConn or Houston probably as well, but they might be my down the board team.
Yeah, so I guess just to answer your first question, Arizona has Caleb Love, the guy from UNC. He transferred over there, if you
Oh,
remember
okay.
him.
Yeah.
So he's one of their most dynamic guards there. So he was part of that 2022 Final Four run. So he does have that experience. That'll be good for the guys to rally around because I know they do have some young guys on there as well. They also have, I don't know how to say his last name, but Ballo, Ballo. He's 7 foot, 260. He's just a huge dude from Mali. So that dude's a beast down in the paint. They got some big bodies. They can be super physical. So that's definitely going to be a tough team to beat. But like you said, the Pac-12, not a lot of people watch the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is no more after this year. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that play
Houston
translates.
Houston has the number one defense, I think you said. Um,
Yeah.
they kind of play some of that old Izzo ball where they're hacking a lot and they're getting away with a lot of stuff, hoping that they're not going to call it every single possession. So officiating for them will matter. I still don't think it's like to the level of Purdue with Edie, but I do think you might have to keep an eye on how Houston is being officiated because if you get a ticky tack referee, that number one defense doesn't look as elite as it normally does.
Yeah, they were a 1 seed last year as well, assuming they get it again this year. And they lost to Miami 89-75. So they totally got pieced up that year. And then I forgot who they were playing the year before. I think it's Villanova in the Elite Eight. Houston was a 5 seed, Nova was a 2. Houston lost 50-44, and they went 2 of 23 from three. Or excuse me, 1 of 20 from three. Um, so that's obviously really, really bad shooting performance. That being said, you only lost by 6. If you go 3 of 20, that game could be going to OT. Game
Hmm.
state, butterfly effect could change. But um, I really want to back Houston this year, and I want to do it even more because I know you don't like it. So I think Houston's going to be my team.
Why would I? Why would I not like Houston?
I thought you said you didn't like Houston last episode, that you didn't buy
No, I
into it.
said that's my team.
Then we're
I
on the
was
same
Houston
page.
and
Okay.
Auburn. Yeah,
Okay, sorry. Okay, then yeah, then that'll be something that the listeners need to look for as a potential 6 pack play then.
yeah. I
Maybe
mean,
maybe
obviously,
not to
it's
win the title, but like to make Final Four, Sweet
right.
16, you can get a good number.
Like obviously, seeding and all of that matters, but them and UConn just seem like they're on a tier below or above everybody, and that's kind of a reflection of the odds on FanDuel. I just want to point out again, UConn is not the same team as last year that won the title. They are very, very good, and they're number one for a reason. But it's a very different roster. They've lost a lot of their like top end players, and they've replaced them with great players. But I don't want there to be this whole like, oh, they just have winning DNA. They might have a winning coach. They might have a couple key players that have won a title and been there before. But for the most part, I don't think that's how you should feel about them necessarily.
Yeah, no, that's great to point out for sure. It's they lost a couple really good shooters, and yeah, they replaced them, but it is a totally different team, and they don't have that same experience. But Hurley, is a great coach and has been doing well the last couple years. So definitely not a team you want to play. But I do want to transition to the teams who just missed qualifying here. So once again, Houston, UConn, Arizona, Auburn, those 4 qualified. On the outside looking in, Purdue, they're 22nd in defense, so they can work their way in pretty easily. Tennessee's 21st in offense and second in defense, so they can work their way in. They're at 13-1. Connect is a great player for them, transfer in.
Hmm.
So that's definitely
Yeah,
a
he's
team to
tough.
watch out for. The only issue with them is like if he has an off game, I don't think they can win.
No, he's a volume guy too. Like he needs to jack up shots, but I may have cheated a little bit, and not intentionally. I follow some Creighton accounts as they're my like second team, and I know that they were mentioned in that podcast. So I did see a tweet that they were one of those teams that just missed the cut or whatever.
Yeah, so Creighton they missed the cut because they have not beaten 3 teams in the top 10 of the RPI. Or it's
They
not
did beat Iowa's ass though.
sorry, top 10% of the RPI. Yes, they did beat Iowa. Iowa's not in the top 10%. Iowa's 153rd in defense.
Oh,
12th in offense,
that's
153rd in defense. But
that's
hey,
a
real
that's
quick,
about right.
Creighton, if they beat Marquette at home this Saturday, that's their 3rd win and qualifies them. If they lose
Okay.
this game Saturday, they are not qualified. This is it. So I don't know how much stock you take into this formula. I know it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect, but if it can predict winners 90% of the time,
Every
I'm
year
all
I
for
take
that.
Creighton to win like one more game than like I probably should. And last year was like the first year it ever worked out for me. So I don't know if I can do that 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that can be your alternate bracket. Um, some other notable teams: Bama is first in offense, 99th in defense, and kind of quite the opposite. Iowa State's 52nd in offense, and second in defense. Let's see what else we got here. Baylor 5th and 58th, Kansas 46th and 10th, Illinois 3rd and 94th, and then like I said, Iowa 12th and 153rd.
I won't
So I think
bet on Iowa State or Illinois no matter what. So
no, I don't think Illinois doesn't have a lot of depth, and Iowa State's offensive numbers scare me. It's pretty hard to win 5 or 6 defensive games in a row, especially if a
mhm.
team gets hot. So um, I was looking at some bracket projections for Iowa. It looks like they're like on the bubble of the first 4 teams out, maybe like the next 4 out, kind of right in that range. What do you think they need to do to get into the tournament?
um I mean there's always the pull it out of your ass and win the Big Ten tournament. But assuming that doesn't happen, um they probably need to win their next 2 against Northwestern and Illinois. That would give them, I think, 2 more quad one wins. And then I think they would have to at least win one in the Big Ten tournament. Not because they really need that win for their resume, but because that game is going to be versus like a 9 or 10 seed in the Big Ten. And like that loss would look bad. Like you can't lose
Yeah.
to, I'm just making it up, Minnesota and be like, that's the last game on your resume going into Selection Sunday. So otherwise, I think they could probably win one of the next 2 and then maybe win. They probably have to win at least a couple games in the Big Ten tournament and hope for some luck with the rest of the country.
Yep.
I mean, if
Yep.
they can play Wisconsin in the second round, I think we would all. I was listening to the 3 Points pod. Our partners over there, Nicholas Bear. They were talking about how they got to avoid that 8-9 game because the winner of that plays Purdue, and they can't beat Purdue. We know they can't beat Purdue. It's a bad matchup for them. That's no size. They would have to play like a team like Wisconsin in the second round or their second game in order to feel like there's an actual chance to win that.
So I'll tweet this out here. That's some guy has his name is MRED Reds 2024 basketball tracker. It's essentially like how on ESPN you can do that NFL playoff thing where you click every single game and then it spits out like who makes the playoffs. So he is the same thing, but for the Big Ten standings and how that translates to the tournament. So just real quickly typing this in. Do you think Iowa is going to beat Northwestern?
No.
Okay, so mark Northwestern. And do you think Iowa is going to beat Illinois?
Yes. I think
Really?
I saw
Okay.
enough from them last week or whatever it was. I think they could do it. I don't even know which one it's going to be, but I think they're going to win one of those 2. I think they're going to go
Okay.
1-1. They're going to tease us enough to being like, "Oh, if they just would have not blown that Penn State game, or if they would have just not blown whatever." But I just don't think they're going to get it done, unfortunately.
So if they win one game, I believe they will be out of the 8-9. If they win one in this scenario where they're losing Northwestern but beating Illinois on the road, they are in the 7-10 against right now Ohio State maybe Penn State, and with the winner playing Illinois. So on that side of the bracket, you have Illinois, Northwestern, rather than Purdue and Nebraska. I'm not really afraid of anyone other than Purdue, like you said, because of the
Same.
size thing. They can beat any of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, if they have a good shooting night, they can beat anyone but Purdue because
Yeah,
they just don't have any size to compete with Purdue.
no,
You're
yeah.
gonna throw Riley Mulvey out there?
Hey, he played a couple of years ago against them and did just fine, didn't
You're
he?
right.
Didn't
Hey, he's
he
been
play a shift?
redshirting too. He's been bulking up. Where's Josh Ogundule or whatever when you need him?
Don't know.
Ogundele. I don't know.
Delay, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at college basketball wise. This Saturday we have like a good crop of games. Then after that, I think it kind of dies off just a little bit, and we get into conference tournament time. So super excited for that. And do you know if you have any regionals close to you? We have the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 at the Crypto in downtown LA. I'm going to try to catch a game, I think.
Um, that's a good question. Last year they were in Greenville. That
Mm,
was like the closest one. So like I think an hour and a half or so. Um, I'm looking it up now. We can move on. I'll come back to it if I find. Oh, it is in Charlotte.
nice. Okay.
So
Yeah, so we might have some boots on the ground then. That'll be good.
yeah, first and second round are in Charlotte.
Nice. Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, so if anyone hasn't been to March Madness, it's definitely fun just going there and rooting for the underdog, even if it's just two random teams. Definitely a fun day with.
Yeah, we've been to the Final Four. You, me, and Brady. Bear bought a fake ticket off somebody. I got free tickets through work, so Bear had to buy his own ticket and got stopped at the gate. I think he almost started crying. Um, this was his senior year at Iowa, and this man was demoralized and just
The
went to a
one
bar and found some random Iowa fans and tried to make the most of it.
out of the four of us, if anyone deserved to go, it was him. But sadly, that is not how the world works. Life is not fair.
Didn't he
So
lose to like was that the year they lost to like Tennessee and like the like to go to the Sweet 16 or is that a different year? It all blends
oh,
together for me,
that might
but
have been I think that was the year before.
okay.
I'm not sure.
Uh that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
good times. All right, moving on. Let's stick with basketball so we can talk a little bit NBA here. We have futures. I want to talk Western Conference, Eastern Conference, and then get into some NBA awards here. Where would you like to start with this? You have any preference?
Talk Western Conference.
Okay. So I put some notes here together. These are kind of my thoughts. So right now the standings, it's a little bit jumbled up top. Coming into the year, you kind of thought the Nuggets were just going to pull away, but it's actually the T-Wolves who are 42-17, Thunder 41-17, Nuggets 40-19, and then a little bit back, the Clippers 37-20. So those teams are kind of in contention for that first seed. Um, I like the Nuggets to come out of the West. They're only one game behind where they were last year through 59 games. And I feel like they're just getting decent play from like Michael Porter Jr. Jamal Murray's been fine. Jokic has been amazing as usual. So it's going to be hard for a team to beat the Nuggets 4 times, I think.
I agree.
And especially the Thunder and Timberwolves. Uh, they don't have that experience, that playoff experience really. Like Anthony Edwards is going to have to play really well for the first time in the playoffs. SGA is going to have to do that same thing, even though he's been doing it all year, which we can talk about more with MVP. But if you're just going to tell me, like, gun to my head, like I'm taking the Nuggets. And that being said, first 6-pack play of the pod, I'm putting Nuggets
Okay.
to.
Should we double it because I kind of want him to.
Well, were you going to
Wait, are you
say?
wait. Are you taking him to win it all or are you taking him to win the West?
That's what I was going to ask you, is what you wanted to do,
I think the
because
safe bet is to do the West because I do think there is a chance the Celtics could win it all.
yeah, I agree. So we'll do Denver Nuggets plus 195
Yep.
to win the West. That's official 6-pack play. So I know we haven't had a lot of those, but just keep up with our tracker. A lot of futures coming up for us in that.
And what's interesting about the West, I know you kind of ran through the top 4 or 5 there. If things were to stay how they are today, I think it benefits both the Clippers and the Nuggets, who I think we both kind of have as the best 2 teams. Because right now, the second round matchup would be the Clippers, assuming they'd win the 4-5 against the Timberwolves, rather than face, because if Denver did end up with the 1 seed, we could get Clippers Nuggets in the second round rather than the conference finals. So I'm
That's tough.
hoping that it's not like a 1-4 situation, and we can like keep them away from each other for a little bit and build up some suspense.
I think I'm kind of torn on whether I think the Clippers are second best or the Thunder. I think I might be leaning Thunder.
Bad loss
Which,
for the Clippers last night.
yeah, they gave up that like 19-point deficit to LeBron.
Yeah.
So I don't know. LeBron needs that, man. He hasn't had any good wins since the play-in tournament. Just let
Yeah.
him have a
It's been
moment.
4 years since LeBron's been relevant. So let's let him have his one night. That happened at midnight East Coast time. So
Exactly. One other thing I wanted to point out: the Suns have the toughest remaining schedule by quite a bit coming up. They have the Celtics twice. Same with OKC and Minnesota and Denver and Cleveland and the Clippers. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 games against top 3, 4 seeds on both sides. That is not that's not going to be easy to do. I know Bradley Beal's been in and out of the lineup. I believe he's going to play tonight. But they've only played I think it's like 15 games together this year. So I'm a little bit concerned for them. I think that's a team we can fade in the playoffs.
mhm.
And I don't know. Maybe they could potentially be in the play-in too. If you want to bet a little bit of them to miss the playoffs at like plus 390, I wouldn't argue with that. But that's asking a lot still.
Unfortunately, this is going to be a very drama-free ending to the season. I think. I don't even think that's a bold take. All 10 spots on each conference are kind of already locked in. So like the 10 seed in the East is the Hawks. They're 4 games up on the Nets who are in the 11 spot. And then you look at the West and it's the Warriors at number 10 and they're 4 games up on the Jazz. And like I think the Warriors are playing better basketball now too. So like I just don't see the Jazz or the Nets catching up to those teams. So it seems like the 10 teams are locked in both conferences. The only thing is there might be some rearranging of the seeds
Yeah, and one thing I do want to point out though, like if you're betting a yes no to make the playoffs, if that team
in the
loses
play-in.
in the
Yeah.
play-in tournament, then that's not in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
that's
So
a good call. That also matters for the draft, for the lottery. If you lose in that, you are in the lottery still.
yeah,
So
good
I'm
point.
low key hoping the Bulls lose that. The only other thing too is Joel Embiid coming back. Right now, the Sixers are tied for the 6th seed, so like 1 spot out of the play-in. But I guess they're really tied for 5th because 5th, 6th, and 7th are all the same record basically. So if he comes back, you might see the Sixers kind of solidify their spot. If he doesn't, they're probably going to fall into the play-in.
And even if he does come back at some point, because he said he wants to, no matter what, if he has a chance to play, he wants to try. So I don't know. With 80% Embiid, do you think that's enough to actually give him like a title run? There's some big odds out there. Like there's some NBA Finals exactas if you want to throw a little bit on them. What is it here? I can't find them. They were like 50-1 to play against the Thunder or something like that. I feel like that's still not that's not a big enough price for me. Here,
Right.
76ers against Clippers 65-1. I don't know. I feel like I think the Celtics can beat them if you're not 100%.
Is this reminds me of a play I'm thinking about for most improved. Have we ever laid something with minus 480 odds? Because I think Tyrese Maxey winning most improved player is officially over. I think it's a lock.
I am appalled right now. That is the one market that I think is totally off.
Really? Because
I don't think that's right at all.
so who do you think's the favorite? You think it's not Kobe anymore? He's on 4 games struggling. He's like number 1 in the league in minutes. He played 50 minutes last night. They
They're
have
killing
no
him.
they have no Torrey Craig, no Patrick Williams, no Zach LaVine, no Alex Caruso, no Lonzo Ball. It's him and DeMar DeRozan. And last night they started a guy or played a guy. I got to read his name. Besides Terry Taylor, they played the Cavs. They won in OT last night, but they played a guy named Anuralp Bitim.
Never even heard of him.
Yeah, he played 28 minutes last night. So the Bulls aren't going to win that many games. They're not going to be a very fun team. He's the only other scoring option besides Zach LaVine. He went 5 for 20 last night. He said that in between games, he used to because he was coming off the bench and or playing 20-ish minutes. He's like, I used to work on my game and all this. He's like, now I spend off days at the trainers. So I just don't see a world where he's going to have fresh legs and be able to put up 25 regularly on a team that people are paying attention to.
I think Kobe's probably fallen out. I know you got a good price on him, but
I got him at plus 900. He's now plus 1,000. So
I guess you got it a little late.
Well, I got it a little early, and then I got it a little, and then it ended up going down, and then it came back. So either way, I mean, he's still the second best odds on FanDuel at plus 1,000. It's Maxey minus 480, and then everyone else besides Kobe is plus 2,000 or worse or more.
Maybe I'm just a little biased, but I got Jalen Williams for the Thunder at 40-1. He's the third best odds at 15-1 right now. I have $50 on that to win $2,000. So
I guess I was viewing it as Maxey versus Kobe. If there's a third option out there, that's fine. But I don't see any scenario where Kobe White wins now.
So Tyrese Maxey, he's had a great last couple of games, but before that, his efficiency had gone down since Embiid was out. If Embiid comes back, I think that's great for Maxey's case. But if they fall out, can you give most improved to a guy who's losing in the play-in? I don't know. Then
that's
down
most of these guys, though, right? I mean, Sengun's on the Rockets. Kobe's in the same boat. Jalen Williams might be the 4th or 5th best player on his own team.
That's not true.
He's not better than Chet or SGA. That puts him at 3rd.
That's not 4th.
Okay, and I don't pay attention to the Thunder. There's probably another guy.
Okay, there's not. Jalen Williams is their 3rd best player. The only issue is he's in his 2nd year. I would not be opposed to betting more on Jalen Williams at 15-1, but that's just a bet against Maxey. If you want to lay the minus 480, be my guest. I'll be your bookie on that. I don't think that's hitting.
But what does a dollar make on that?
48 cents or 4 cents, right?
Yeah. So we would have to play 5 units to profit a unit.
Yeah.
So probably not worth it.
That being said, I know I'm being a little facetious here, but Tyrese Maxey winning, I think, is the most likely outcome. That doesn't mean that it's not. That I think it's correctly priced, though. I think he should. I
agree. I want to bet it. I just don't want to bet it at minus 480.
Yeah.
It's kind of like buying a house. I want this house, but I'm not paying this price for it.
Yeah. Well, that one, I think the other market that I think is a little bit off, 6th man of the year. You have any thoughts on that one? There's been a ton of movement. LeVert for the Cavs was 20-30-1 last week. Same with Naz Reid. They're both down to plus 470 and Naz Reid 700. They're making huge moves there. Tim Hardaway Jr. was a 2nd favorite. He was at plus 350 the last couple months for the Mavs, and he's sucked lately, so he's down to 7-1. Malik Monk's the favorite at minus 120, and then my bet Norman Powell is at plus 700.
I have zero opinions on this. I'm not. I would bet anybody but Bobby Portis. Fuck him.
Yeah. He's last year, Bobby Portis made a case that he deserved it in his odds, chopped in half just because of one interview. Didn't end up winning. But I'm on Norman Powell 45-1 here. He's down to 7-1. I just my thought process on this is he's on a good team. The other guys are not, other than Kurt Levert, who the Cavs they've played great lately. But if you look at their winning streak, it was against a bunch of really
Hmm.
bad teams. They played the Wizards like 3 times or
Yeah,
something. So
and they just
I
lost
don't.
to the Bulls last night. They suck.
Yeah, we'll see if that. I think that's going to level out. So I think Norman Powell. Like, yeah, I got him at 45-1. You can't do that anymore. He's at 7-1. Is it still a bet? Maybe. I don't think Malik Monk should be minus 120. He's going to be on a play-in team.
Who is Mark Daigneault?
He is the Thunder head coach.
Dude, I know nothing about the Thunder apparently, but he's the favorite for coach of the year. And I don't
Yeah,
know who Chris Finch is either, and he's number 2.
Chris Finch is the T-Wolves.
Oh, okay. I kind of want Joe Mazzulla to win just to shove it up Bill Simmons' ass, but
I don't think that's going to
no.
happen. I think the Thunder head coach, I almost brought that up on our last pod because he was like plus 200 back then. It was like a week ago, and
We'll
I
just
don't
wait for
know.
them to lose a few times, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So, um, I guess we have a couple more awards here. These two, probably not a whole lot to say. Rookie of the Year, Wemby's minus 700, Chet's plus 600. I really don't think it should be minus 700. I think it's just because Wemby is Wemby and people love him, and he has these big highlight plays and his box score stats look great and all that. But Holmgren, like he every other year he would won Rookie of the Year. Like he is playing great this year, and the Thunder would not be where they're at without him doing this well.
I agree.
And then Defensive Player of the Year, Gobert minus 950, Wembanyama's 16-1. Wembanyama has more blocks and steals per game. Gobert has a little bit more rebounds. But really, like history shows that this award is given to a great defender on a great team. It's like a team defensive award, kind of. So that's I can't see Gobert losing this to Wemby, especially if the Spurs are so
Yeah,
bad. So
I agree.
which leads us to MVP. Jokic minus 140, SGA plus 210, Luka plus 500, and Giannis 20-1. You got
I think I might have a play here. I think I might just ride with Jokic because I think that there's a lot of this feeling across the league of like he got screwed last year with Embiid. And I think that people want to make it up to him, and his stock in turn or his like popularity or like how he's viewed across the league is just so high right now. I mean, I don't know. I just trust him. Out of every player in the league right now, especially in this top 5, I trust him the most. And I already have a Luka at like plus 800. So I don't need any real other. I mean, it's him or SGA.
you kind of ruined my vibe over here. I was gonna give SGA on the 6 pack.
Oh,
So I'm just gonna we're leaving it off. I don't want to do that. SGA is my pick.
what is
I
he?
think
Plus 230?
yeah, I have him plus between 210 plus 230 depending on where you're at, shop around, but I think if you bet SGA right now, you can get Jokic at plus money later. I think there's going to be some movement here. There's always crazy movement as the weeks go on. Someone could have a 40-point game. Jokic, if he, turns an ankle, why would they play him?
That's
They
true.
don't they don't need a 1 seed. They don't need any of that.
If you want to play someone else, or you don't want to play Jokic at this price, I should say, I understand that. I just think Jokic will end up winning, and I think if it ends up being like viewed as a tie, it'll go to him. He has a tiebreaker, I think, based off what he did in the postseason last year and what he's done this year, and just kind of the journalist narrative out there. I think he has a tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think that's right,
Like
but
SGA has to be clear of him even more than what Embiid was of Jokic last year.
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I just don't want them giving the award because he deserved it the year before. It's
I agree.
setting a bad precedent because then it's like, well, let's just do it again and again. It's like, was this even an award or is this just like a a 2 to 3 year career view type of award.
When has the NBA ever been smart about any of that type of stuff, though?
Never. Yeah, good point.
I mean, we have James Harden winning like multiple and Russell Westbrook. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think the best part about this this NBA segment we just did is we mentioned Giannis's name once and we didn't even mention the Bucks for any of the the futures. For the exactas, if you want to get, I don't think you should bet the Bucks to win anything. If you want to get cute, looking at the Bucks against like the T-Wolves, 35-1, Bucks against the Thunder, 33-1. I would do something like that maybe and look to hedge if Milwaukee makes a run. But man, I just do not see the Bucks, especially with Doc Rivers at the helm. I do not see them making a run.
Injuries always happen. That's kind of their best. They're a team that's kind of injury prone with like the Middletons, and Lopez is old. And Giannis got hurt last year, I guess. But I don't know. I don't really see a path for them to beat the Celtics without a Jaylen Brown, or Porzingis could always get hurt too. But I mean,
Yeah, Porzingis is the guy.
There's a lot of basketball left. Like that matchup won't even be till May. So there is a long way to go. It's hard to picture it with everything we know now.
When's the last time Chris Middleton played? I know we joked around about him before the year, how he can barely walk, and he literally
he sucks,
dude
dude.
hasn't
He's not even a
played for
good
a month.
defender anymore.
Yeah, he's averaging
He
14.8.
needs the what's his name treatment. The Klay Thompson, come off the bench. God.
Oh,
Remember
what I
when he
want to
got
do?
that big contract and Brady was trying to tell us that he deserved it? Like, dude, he hasn't played basketball in like 2 years. He might as well be Lonzo Ball at this point.
Did he get the contract last year or 2 years ago?
I think it was this summer.
Because if it was this summer, then we should have put him on the all bus team. That's a mess on us.
Did we not? I feel like maybe we didn't.
I think that was episode 1. We're gonna have to go back to the archives and check that out.
Yeah. Dude, he hasn't played a game in 23 days. And that was 8 minutes.
Good luck.
He was in his game log, recent game log, 5 for 16, 5 for 15, 8 minute. Like, dude, this guy sucks.
Hey, I have good news. I've pulled up the archives. Here's the 2023 free agent all disappointment team. Starting at point guard, Bruce Brown, who's already been traded. Austin Reeves, 4 for 54. I messed that up. That's on me. Reeves has had a great year. So
he struggled at the beginning of the year. He's played better lately. Yeah. It's going to get them nothing, but yeah.
Next up, Middleton. He gets on a 3-year, $93 million. He's 32 years old, about to be 33 in a few months. Yeesh.
I nailed it.
Power forward Rui Hachimura for the Lakers. Another bad one. And then our fifth one, we kind of just needed a center, so we put Brook Lopez. I think he's having a fine year, but he's still, he's 35.
He's not a difference maker anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm part of his fan club still, but I don't really care about him. I don't think he's that good.
Yeah. So these notes from this first episode are hilarious. We also talked about should running backs get paid, which is very, I guess it's good to talk about now because it's the same sort of thing. And NFL free agency starts in a couple weeks. There's going to be a lot of running backs hitting free agency. The 3 we have here, Jacobs, Barkley, and Eckler. That's the same as this year, plus Derrick Henry.
Saquon.
Saquon. So it's almost like, are these top athletes growing up and in college, like, why would you play running back anymore? Like, you need to be playing wide receiver, you need to be playing cornerback. No one cares about running backs.
Be an offensive tackle, an edge rusher, a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything else but running back.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting. We'll keep an eye on free agency, and maybe we'll have some bets, some futures after free agency. But I guess we kind of have to wait for the draft too. I did want to touch on the draft real quick, and then we'll get into some baseball to end the show. Jeff Howe for The Athletic, he wrote an article today. He said that he's at the combine. He's been hearing Caleb Williams 1, which is pretty obvious. 2, the Commanders and Drake May, and then 3, Patriots and Jaden Daniels.
There's a lot of buzz around Daniels in general. Dan Orlovsky on ESPN said the Bears should take him at 1. I'm not in favor of that, but I do think he's a swing for the fence. I'm not saying it'll be a success, but I think the ceiling's there. So I understand the risk at least.
That stuff
or the
is
reward, I should say.
That stuff is so annoying to hear because these guys just like want attention. I don't know. I have a lot of negative things to say that I'll just keep to myself. But yeah, more NFL stuff coming up. The draft.
One thing on that
until April. Yeah,
Rappaport tweeted a bear emoji with an eyeball emoji and then deleted it in like 1 minute.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so I don't know what that meant or what. I don't know if that's about the pick, if it's about trading Fields.
So Justin Fields did go to minus 425 to be dealt to the Falcons.
Atlanta, yeah.
But I don't even know how you can bet. Like I would not bet on that at all. Minus 425. You might as well bet Tyrese Maxey minus 425, right?
Mm-hmm. Can you parlay that?
That's the lock of the year, the Fields Maxey parlay. Probably not. But yeah, I don't know. Time will tell. Unless you're in those rooms, hearing those conversations, there's so much smoke screen, and a lot of these books just update the odds based on the money. So if some idiot bets $1,000 on the Falcons just so they cover their ass, they could literally just switch the odds to be like that. So
like Peter King in his last ever article wrote that he thinks the Bears are going to trade the pick for a haul, and then was like, and now I'm retiring. Like he just like leaves, it just like drops that bomb and just like walks away.
I think Peter King, the editors read that and they're like, all right, it's time for you to retire because that is not happening.
Yeah, I don't see it either. It would have to be a pretty crazy trade. Real quick before we go into baseball, I just want to announce that I will be returning to NCAA Football 25 when it comes out this summer. I am going to be playing all the time. I've been asked about it. Coach Johnny Rumps will be back. He will be leading a dynasty. Where? Not totally sure yet. I might even do a Road to Glory, which I haven't done in 11 years or whatever. But I will be back. I will be getting the PS5, I think. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm just excited, man. I've been waiting forever for this.
I've been waiting forever for you to get a PS5. I have zero well, first of all, I only have like 5 friends, and none of you guys have PS5. So, yeah, looking forward to playing with somebody. Except I'll probably just be playing online. I don't mess around with the dynasty. I can't do recruiting. I'm not doing Road to Glory. Maybe I'll try it, I guess. But
recruiting is fun, man. It's basically like drafting. I mean, you're like,
dude,
building
you're gonna have
to
be giving out NIL deals and stuff.
I mean, I'm curious how they're gonna do that. Like, because in the old game, recruiting was so like, you would just like put more points on a kid and like your chance of getting him went up. Like that's not how the real world works, but yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, it'd be kind of funny, like the level of detail, because I know there was a former Iowa basketball player who got like $500 to like go be a spokesperson for a car wash place. See if you could just like set somebody up in the game to do something like that.
Yeah, it's like you're a head coach. It's like instead of practice today, you can like go do a car wash dealership event and get your treasure chest for recruiting points up. It's like unlock more points for your treasure chest that you can spend on a 3-star left tackle.
We should create a game. We should pitch this to EA, where it's just the game is just called NIL. You don't actually play anything. You're just building up your chest, and then it's like simulating, like, oh, you landed this 5-star, like you did it. That's all it is.
It's all about building the number 1 recruiting class. That's the game. It's like you have to beat Kirby Smart's class.
It's comedy.
How it's
All
based? They should just call the game like Jimbo Fisher 2025. Uh, Anywho,
All right,
um,
baseball. Give us a Cubs update. I think you got some good news for us.
I want to do that like da, 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 da. Cody Bellinger to the Cubs on a 3-year, $80 million deal. It finally happened, and it happened with good terms. I think both sides can be happy. No long-term commitment. 3 years, $80 million is like the absolute most he will get from the Cubs. There's an opt-out after year 1 and year 2. If he opts out, it's like 1 year, $30 million for the luxury tax, and then $30 million for year 2, and then year 3 would be $20 million. So the odds of him sticking it out on that contract for all 3 years are not great. Um, it eliminates the worst case scenario for the Cubs risk wise. It also probably eliminates the best case scenario where he's way overplaying his contract. You're getting a great value because then he's obviously going to walk. So um, you're kind of middling it a little bit, but it should keep the flexibility and the options open for the future. We have Cody for 2024. That's fun. That's the least risky year of his next, 6, 7 years. So I'm happy. The team's happy. Morale is good. Um, and then when Boris was in town, there was some joking about, are the Cubs interested in his other clients, Chapman and Snell and Montgomery? And Council made a joke like, "Oh, I thought you were bringing Montgomery with you," which I don't think it's going to happen. But there's still 3 All-Star caliber players out there. Um, I don't know where they're going to go. I think the Giants will probably get one. I think the Red Sox are interested in another. Um, but yeah, free agency still isn't over, folks. So even though we're in spring training.
If you had to rank those, the big three, if you will, in Montgomery, Snell, and Chapman, in terms of likelihood that the Cubs grab one, what would you say?
Snell would be last. Um,
Good.
just because I think he has the highest price tag and the biggest risk. Montgomery has a lower ceiling but a lower price tag. I think Chapman, because I think Chapman is the most, he has probably the thinnest market, given that there's like 15 really good third basemen that are locked in with their teams. Like there's just not a lot of teams out there for him that are also in a position to want to spend money. Like the A's aren't going to go bring him back, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to lose. So if it's not the Cubs, there's really only a handful of teams it could be. Um, but I think the Cubs will really only be interested if it's like a 1 or 2 year deal. And even then they're going to be over the luxury tax. So
Yeah, it'd be really interesting if they went for that because, yeah, they're over the luxury tax, but then he's playing, out of 160 plus game schedule, he's playing at least 140 at
he's
third.
yeah, he's trustworthy. He obviously helps your pitchers, and he's a great defender. And I think he's a little better than his numbers showed last year. The hard hit rate, the contact quality, exit velocity, all suggest he had some bad luck on the batted ball data. But um, I just don't see Jed wanting to give more than a year deal to somebody who,
Yeah.
one, is over 30, came off a somewhat rough season, and then you have our boy Matt Shaw and James Triantos and Edwin Ria. I mean, they've got like 7 or 8 guys who can play on the left side of the
Yeah, you
infield.
got Bush too. He could swing over there too. And obviously they had Morel. They're having Morel play there all spring
You
training to
know,
kind of see how that goes. But
you know who actually might be the most likely, and I forgot to mention him, is probably JD Martinez. Because I think he's most likely to take a
mm,
1 year deal. And he declined $14 million from the Giants because he does not want to live in San Francisco. And he
who
said
would
that publicly.
that'd be so funny if he took like 4 million from somewhere else. He's like 10 million is not worth it for you my
Someone's like,
car
he's from
broken into.
Florida. He's a cheap ass, and like the taxes there, like he loses like 60% of his taxes between home games and like division games being in San Francisco.
He's gonna have to be a 1 year deal, strictly DH, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just interesting because the Cubs they don't really have room. I mean, they kind of do. If Morrell ends up playing third. Otherwise, Morrell's DHing most days. Bellinger is going to be playing center. You still have Wisdom, I guess. We didn't even talk about him. He
He
can
would
play third
probably,
base
yeah,
or
he'd probably
first.
need traded.
There's a lot of things to figure
I,
out for sure,
yeah,
but
I think there has to be. I still think there's going to be a trade between now and opening day. I mean, there already was one, I guess, to clear a 40-man spot. Um, 'Cause I do think Bailey Horn was probably going to throw a few innings for the big league club this year, but I just don't. I don't know. There's almost so many options that it's not even worth like getting into all of the different possibilities. It
who
feels like a lifetime ago we were talking about Shane Bieber.
yeah, that's not happening. Apparently, he's having a good. His numbers look really good. Apparently, I was kind of looking at him to win Cy Young 30 to
I can't
1,
believe
but
he's not 30. He's only 29.
he's young. He or not, I guess transitioning from Bieber, going back to the Cubs real quick. So they like they their schedule this year. It's like looking at the MLB schedules. It's funny because it doesn't matter that much. So you kind of just have to win some games toward the beginning of the year, give yourself a chance, and like win enough games so you're not sellers at the deadline. Is essentially what it comes down to.
Mhm.
But you mentioned about trading players. Who do you think would be involved in a trade like that? Because today on the show they mentioned Matt Mervis, or during the game. I was watching the spring training game in the background, and it wasn't. I don't think it was JD and Boog. It was somebody else. I don't know who it was though. I need to look that up. But whoever it was, one of the guys was saying how they think Matt Mervis could play for like 15 teams as a first baseman.
I'll start saying I don't agree with that.
I
I
That's
think
why I
he
want to
can
bring it
maybe
up. Is
start
like,
by like 4 or 5, maybe Oakland. I do think he's if you're talking about a trade bait list, I think he's near the top
yeah,
because
because that
I don't think he has a long he's in his upper 20s or mid 20s. He plays a he's had a taste and he wasn't successful, and he's at a position where I don't see how he breaks through without like a Bush injury or
yeah,
you know
and he
wisdom
he
injury even.
he hit 40 home runs in AAA. Like, what more do you want him to do? Like, his performance in AAA is not going to be like, we have to bring him up now. It's like, you had your chance. You may get another one if there's injuries, and like, you have to make the most of it. Otherwise, there's not a spot for you in this organization. So,
Yeah, he's probably trade bait. Wisniewski, um, they've got like 80 outfielders between the MLB roster and the minor leagues. I mean, you've got Hap, Sia, and Bellinger all on big money deals, but then in the minors, you've got PCA, Brennan Davis, Owen Casey, um, Kevin Alcantara, and like those are just guys in your top 10. So they've literally got like 7 or 8 guys, and obviously Cody's
yeah.
only here for a year, but it's still there's a Canario is another one maybe you trade.
Yeah. Yeah. Him and probably either one of him or Mervis. I can't see them keeping both. But yeah, it's interesting. The pieces of the puzzle are finally starting to come together. We're getting close. Bellinger was definitely something I think was great. Like you said, morale wise, like you can tell Swanson and Hap and Nico, like they all love that. So
Mhm.
getting the band back together, and I think it was a Nico interview I was watching a couple days ago where it was Dansby's first year, it was Cody's first year, and it took him a couple months, just to kind of just like get used to it and like be good friends and all that. And now it's like their second year together. Like there is no like period of like let's get used to each other. It's like this is full systems go from day one. So I'm
Yep.
excited to see how that translates to this
He
year.
he lengthens the lineup. He provides a defensive floor. As long as he's healthy, which obviously the worst case scenario is he gets hurt and then he opts in for the following year and like stuff like that. But if he's healthy, he's already a 2 WAR player just by being on the field on defense. And
Yep.
then like the clubhouse aspect and things like that are obviously the intangibles. We love to talk about them. The Yadi Molina effect. Um, yeah, I'm excited for maybe in a couple weeks once we get to like closer to mid March and we make sure that some of these guys that we want to make any future bets on don't get hurt. I know some of that's already started. Kodai Senga is going to miss some time, so you can basically cross him off any futures bets for Cy Young or anything like that. But maybe we can do some preseason futures bets, overs, unders, things like that. I think there's a lot of fun props on home runs, over unders on home runs, MVPs, things like that. I've got some leans, but I haven't played anything other than Cubs related things.
Yeah, so we started off, I guess, with good value, in my opinion, because you gave out the Cubs to win the NL Central at plus 230. They're in like the upper like 100s, 180, 190 right now ish. So definitely we do want to hear your thoughts on those futures. We'll have a podcast for you guys probably, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks from now. Because the season's about a month away right now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now, because we do need to like be able to pick off some value ahead of
Mhm.
time, but kind of wait so people don't get injured. So
Yeah, I
um,
agree.
find that happy
Someone
medium.
that we're thinking about right now will get hurt. It's just whether it'll probably be a pitcher. So like, you're probably a little safer betting on a position player, but if you're betting on a pitcher, Cy Young, strikeouts, those type of things, waiting might be beneficial.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, yeah, we're just a little bit over an hour here. Like I said at the beginning of the pod, this is episode 49. So you know what that means. Next episode is episode 50. We have some very exciting news. Something brand new will be coming that's associated with the pod. So yeah, we're really looking forward for the big reveal next episode. So be sure to tune into that one. But for now, we appreciate you guys tuning into this one. This has been another episode of Bet GPT.